Hey, what's going on, guys? I've got a special guest here today. We have Gary Cardone. He's been building startups since 27 years old. He's had five different companies in two different countries in three different industries, and he's a Tampa St. Pete guy. Gary, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Um, First off, before we get into all this, what is the biggest mistake you've ever made in business? Because five companies, two countries, three industry. It's a lot of stuff. And I know you're exiting some of these businesses. You've had incredible success. But like, what are some of the mistakes? Because nobody's talking about that.
So, some of the mistakes, I mean, got like holding on to positions too long, holding on to a business. I started my first career when I was 21 in the oil and gas business, was fortunate enough to join a startup at 26. There was 12 people, would stay there 17 years. And one day I'd never sold any stock. And one day the most senior guy at the company, we were now 6,000 people, $30 billion corporation. I mean, none of us actually knew what we were doing. And we were at the right place, the right time, and we had the right character. A monster mistake would have been when I heard my boss say, "Hey, we're going to make $1 billion in cash next year." Literally within 12 hours, I sold every drop of stock and options that I had ever accumulated, and then advised them that I gave them 6 months and I was going to retire. Um,
Wow.
the mistake, the reason I'm bringing that up is that within 12 hours, the entire executive team was advised by the board they could not sell any stock. And most of the people that I work for, they literally wore that stock for another 4 years and never got out. So you got to know, these are not marriages and families, they're businesses. And there's a time where you go, hey, this industry's kind of done. I mean, I did things that were very, very different as far as career path. Most people a consultant would not say, hey, spend 17 years in the energy sector and then walk away from it. For me, it was really good because it challenged me to go, hey, I think I can learn another business. I'm not going to become a slave to a job, a 401k, much less an industry. I know how to learn. And
Yeah.
so I just didn't want to become a slave to being a career professional working for a 401k. And it's worked out pretty well. So, dude, we could be here for 3 hours if I shared every mistake I ever made, though. I mean, I've lost
Yeah.
millions and millions of dollars just being greedy, piggy, stupid, ignorant, childish, immature, not really understanding macro.
Ab-
Um,
Absolutely. I mean, I think you bring up an amazing point of being that lifelong learner because one of the most impressive things to me is that you showed up to the call and you're like, I got a notebook. I bring a notebook everywhere I go. I always write down the things I need to do. And most people would go, Gary, that's for a 5-year-old. 5-year-olds should take notes. Why are you taking notes? And it's just a completely different view. So, how has learning always been important in your life?
I don't know, man. If you'd asked me at 25, I would have said, well, I hate school, hate teachers, hate tests. I don't like studying. I was a bad student, dude. I made C minus. Me and my brother figured out we're sitting there in Lake Charles, Louisiana, living with my mom, who, her husband died when we were 9, my dad. And Grant and I are looking at each other, smoking dope every day, partying, 16, drinking. I mean, like crazy people. And we're looking around at Beth, the straight A student. And we're like, why the fuck would anybody work that hard to make a straight A?
Yeah.
Like, it never made any sense to us that people would stay up, to make the straight A. We're like, C works.
Yeah.
C works. I'm having a blast. I'm getting laid. I'm partying with my buddies. And the truth is, if you ask the deans, dude, the deans like to see students too.
Well,
Because
because they're more real.
no, the C students are the ones that give all the money back to the colleges, and the A students work at the
Yeah.
college. That's the deal. I mean, I've literally had deans go, "Hey, we love the C students. The C and D students we love, dude. They become the people that contribute all the money, because that's where all the private equity and building of great companies comes, is from people that don't just fit in a box.
Yeah.
So, and like we're you have a lot of friends that they've been told by their teachers, counselors, and what have you, that they're wounded, flawed human being because they have ADDHXYZ LLP, whatever. And it's like, yeah, dude, like you're just bored. You need something to do, Gary. Okay. And like when I'm bored, I am a danger to society. And when I'm really engaged in something I don't know anything about, which I find really fast, that's to me really cool about learning. I'm actually a very productive member of society.
Yeah.
So I'm happier when I'm not bored, man.
Absolutely. And it's one of these keys that I think everyone needs to focus on is understanding themselves. Majority of the time, we have no idea who we are. We throw ourselves, go get this job, go get this job. I was talking to a potential client earlier today, and he's like, I have to go get this whole degree. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because I need to be validated. And I'm like, but you have the experience. And I'm like, what if you just did it for free? What if you just helped people for free? Would you learn something? And I'm like, maybe you learned that you don't even like this and you shouldn't waste 5 years going to this thing. And he's like, I've never thought about it that way. And I'm like, of course, of course, the people who got the degrees are going to tell you the same thing. Like, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I agree. I mean, I don't know why people aren't paying people like me right out when they get out of high school. The parents should be calling me up going, hey, I'm going to send my kid to you. I'll pay you to give my kid an apprentice program for a year and a half.
I
Why would you pay a school 250 grand over 4 years? You waste 4 years of their life. While Alexander the Great was probably screwing every little slave on the planet and conquering the entire world at 17, we're coddling these little kids up going, hey, go study more so you can get yourself validated. No, I don't need to get validated. I need to go look in the mirror and go, who the hell am I? Why am I here? And how can I be as great of a human being as possible?
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. I literally sat there and I thought the same thing because I thought the colleges are very interesting because the America, we've always been told, go to college, go do this. And I literally thought, I was like, what if you just joined masterminds for 10,000, 25,000, 50? Like you would learn more in those. And then you just talk to all the people. Or if you do the apprenticeship program where it's like, hey, this guy has been very successful. He will continue to be successful. You should go talk to him. He might teach you something. Like it's so baffling. So, Gary, for you, how did you learn about yourself? How did you learn about this energy sector? How did you even get into that?
I finished college with an economics degree and a marketing degree, and 21 years old at 1981. Dude, I was terrified. I realized, oh shit, school's over. What am I going to do? I'm from nowhere with a family with a nowhere name, don't know anybody. I'm not rich. Um, I have no contacts. I didn't really pay attention in school. I've got a personality. I'm not dumb. I mean, I was never dumb. I was street savvy, and literally went to my sister in Houston who was working for an oil guy, a independent explorer. And I said, look, Diane, just introduce me to someone that's a professional. We don't do each other favors in my family. We don't like, oh, let me get you this job because then somebody owes somebody. She introduced me to a guy named Dan Montgomery. I'll try and make this really, really sharp, but this is a good tool for somebody to use leaving college or high school. And I said, hey, Dan, here's my resume. This is who I am as a personality. What would you do if you were me? You got to remember, I didn't have a dad. So I'm sitting here going, well, I need to ask somebody. And none of my uncles, they're all dead now. So I'm not trying to shame anybody in the family. None of the uncles showed up to be an alpha dog around me and Grant. Now, that wasn't their job, but we had no alpha male and just no alpha male. And Dan looked at me and said, well, I'd become a gas buyer. And it just so happened he was a gas buyer and he saw my personality. I said, well, how would I do that? I had no clue what it was. And he said, look, it's a great job. You know, you meet all the big oil companies. You learn how to study contracts. You go to lunch. You go to Mexico bird shooting. Sounds awesome to me, man. He introduces me to 4 companies, and I talked one of them into hiring me. Dude, I got the best job in the whole world. I went to work for a guy that was 26 years old in Corpus Christi, Texas. And his job was to fill a 36-inch, completely empty, brand new 36-inch pipeline that ran from Laredo, Texas, all the way to Houston. 2 billion cubic feet a day. And I would get to play with that toy and learn from reading contracts this big. And then there was this regulatory change that occurred in the energy sector. And Gary Cardone was perfectly DNA'd, genetically coded to be in this world, dude. Because like the regulatory change that occurred was like giving me a ticket to the Super Bowl. and this is a very important thing for people to understand, is that you must be observant about what's going on around you. And that is one I have been given a gift of being observant. This company, I would have done anything to go work for this company when there was 12 people. And there's just something inside of me. I knew, hey, look, I'm not really situated for these big corporates. I was working for a very large company. And I was already 2 years into it. I'm already getting like nervous and not feeling really comfortable. There are a lot of meetings, man. They meet, and they meet some more, but they don't play baseball. It'd be like literally getting on a baseball team and sitting in a stadium and going, okay, let's talk about the plans. That's what I'm like, oh my God, let's just go call some customers and do some business, man.
Yeah.
And anyway, I went to work for this company and it taught me everything I needed to know about the energy sector. And I just thrived in that world for 20 some odd years.
Absolutely. My biggest takeaways there, and I think everyone should underline this, is one is Gary mentioned how he had to ask advice of someone that he thought was qualified, even though he didn't know. Because a lot of us just go to our parents, and our parents might not be the most qualified. Our teacher might not.
Our parents are absolutely the worst qualified to give any child advice. I really mean that, dude. Yeah. Like I have friends go, hey, look, I'm gonna pick up. Alice is gonna come work for me in the company, family business. I'm like, no, dude, that's wrong. You send Alice to me, and I'll send my kid to you. But I need to be able to. When I was at 22, 25, 28, I needed to know that I was going to be fired if I didn't perform. That there were no favors. Like this is not good to teach someone that they have rights inside of a company. If it's a company, I need to treat my wife or my daughter in that company the exact same way I treat everyone else, and with the same expectations. So but I did. I have asked for advice my whole life, dude. There's no shame in asking someone. In fact, if you ask me to help you, it's probably one of the greatest compliments you can give me, because you're literally saying to me, hey, listen, I value what you've done. And what more can I give you than some information that might help you not make a mistake in the future? Me giving you $1 million isn't going to help you. But if I go, hey, look, you need to think bigger, dude. Like that when people look at me and go, you have been thinking too small. Oh, that's a message, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gary's completely right here, where you need to have that people outside of your bubble, but I think it's also being able to raise your head above the bubble. Because a lot of us, when I mention the bubble, I mean the work bubble that we consume ourselves in, or our life bubble. Like a lot of us aren't going out here. And that's why I love doing the podcast, because I'm forced out of the bubble constantly. And I'm like, what's this guy got to say? What's this guy? And it's just, you learn so much from around those other people. So if the audience could take anything, it's raise your head above where you're at and look around and see what other people are doing. It's okay to have a friend who's crushing it and maybe go learn about that industry or jump here or do that, because so many times we pigeonhole ourselves and we're like, I'm the real estate guy or I'm the this guy. And that can be so damaging because we're all still so young and we all completely change identities every single day and we're just growing, and it's nothing against us, but we're in a constant growth. So how did you find that growth, even going to, I know you went over to the UK, and that's another intimidating thing, leaving what you knew to go to London. Like, it's a completely different country, they have different rules there.
Um, look, let's just get back to the family thing, okay? Look, the
Yeah.
family, they have a vested interest in you, and some of that vested interest isn't necessarily the best thing for you. The second thing is the parents, their parents, it doesn't make them experts on everything. Like, it does not make
Yes.
them experts on a career. It does not make them an expert on blockchain, technology, future, compounding, interest rates, global conflicts, geopolitical issues, macro. Most people just live in their own little, universe. If it was a TV channel, everybody's got their own little TV channel. They're living in their own little bubble. Um, and I think that's really, really important in early years so that you become highly focused in some area. That is the
Yeah.
biggest trick for somebody, is to figure out, hey, where do I belong? If I would have been in the energy business and tried to do real estate and tried to do some other stuff, I would have been a marginal player. But what I did is I went deep, wide, hard, dude, all in, and I became a leading expert in a space. And
Yeah.
once you have that validation as a leading expert in the place, in the space, you then can take that base foundation and go, okay, I can pivot this information into another industry. Um, I think the thing that I'm seeing with you young guys is that you're trying to do so much, and you're going to be like Kool-Aid with a bunch of water in it. It may look like Kool-Aid, but it ain't going to go deep. And that's the problem once you go deep into a business. So, I mean, I spent 20 years in energy. There wasn't much more for me to learn.
Yeah.
Now, this thing about traveling, um, it's taken me about 5 years to figure this out. The last 5 years, I figured this out. I would advise everyone at the age of 17, 16, 18, if you're not going to college, leave your home. Leave your home, go to another city, leave your girlfriend, leave your boyfriend, leave all your friends. Do not get pregnant. Do not impregnate anything else. And leave the local area you're in. You will find out how much you don't know about yourself and the world. And that is the moment you begin to learn about yourself. So, what did I do? I left Lake Charles, Louisiana. Grant and I were going to burn that city to the ground if we were like, we we'd have gone to prison, dude. Like, we were
Yeah.
bored to death. So as soon as I got out of there, I went to Corpus. I had to make new friends. I had to learn how to date girls that didn't know who Cardone was. I had to learn how Texas did it. I had to learn their laws. And I realized that I was a little particle of dust in a shitstorm,
Yeah.
and that I needed to figure out what their gravity was. I just learned so much, man, by going exterior, getting away from the pacifier, that little comfort. And it's not fair. You cannot bring your girlfriend with you. Okay. This is the rule. Okay.
Ha-
You got to go out on your own like Alexander the Great did. Um, you will learn so much. Okay. Like you don't learn anything in college about real life.
Yeah, I would completely agree with all of this because I ended up actually going from Jersey, went to school at University of Tampa, which was a transition, studied abroad, which isn't like it's a new adventure, but it's still like the same thing. And then when COVID hit, I was actually traveling with she was my girlfriend at the time. She became my girlfriend and now it's my fiance. But we traveled to 5 different cities and we would stay for a month. And the reason was I was like, I don't really know if I like Tampa. I
Right.
because I sat there and I go, this is all I know. I don't know if this is me. And you have to challenge everything you do because you there's no way you were placed here and now this is the perfect situation for you. It just doesn't make sense. You have to go out there and try things and see if there's better options and whatever that might be in different areas. But travel's been massive for me. And I know you're a huge traveler and adventuring around. And what was that transition like to London? Because that is I mean, it's still the you like everyone's speaking English, but it's still challenging with the all the different rules and regulations and
Well, look, when I went to London, I think the 23% of Americans had passports.
wow.
This would have been in 1992. Now I think that number's up. It's still less than 50%. So Americans don't travel.
Most of them stay 20 miles away from their regular home their entire life, which is
That's exactly right. Okay. So the reason that well, first off, back to the writing, I have been writing for when I'm really doing well in my life, I'm writing. And I wrote down on a piece of paper that I was going to run an energy business in Europe, build and run an energy business in Europe. I'm in Houston, Texas, running one of the largest nat gas books in the world, sleeping with a woman that was working for Enron in the same home. I mean, we were actually living together, and she's selling into the same market. We are literally 92% of the entire nat gas market in the entire west coast of California, sleeping in the same bedroom. And I was starting to get a little bored, and the company that I was working for went from 12 to 600 people.
wow.
They started introducing, they sent me home one day because I was wearing shorts, and they started putting in policies and shit. And I'm like, man, I was 28 and all my bosses were 28 or 29. I'm like, shit, dude, I'm never going to like be able to crack out of this environment. So I wrote down this thing. I'm going to run an energy business. 3 months later, dude, 3 months later, British Gas bought 25% of the company. I had no idea this was going on. Not a clue. I immediately put my hand up and said, hey, I want to go to London. They laughed at me. Okay. They literally said, dude, we would never send you to London with your accent and you're so aggressive. You don't pay attention to, you're not like, you don't behave yourself. We can't control you. And they then would proceed to go to 599 people, talk about Americans not moving. No one would go. No one wanted to leave the mothership. So I was left with 2 months later, hey, you still interested? I said, oh, for sure, dude. See, for me, this was once I write it down and then I see somebody knocking on my door going, hey, you have now a ticket to England. A company just bought into your company. What, am I not going to be observant? Like, I need to go knock on that guy's door. Go, dude, I want to go to London. Now, it was a massively risky move. Okay. Most people thought that I was going to go there, die there, and never come back and lose my whole career. What would actually happen was that we would make $200 million 30 months later there.
Wow.
With 12 people, dude. I mean, like it was crushing.
Yeah.
We then sold that company, tiny little joint venture. We would then sell that company back to the joint venture partner for 120 million pounds.
Oh, wow.
And the guy that bought it took the 11 staff. They didn't like me. They said, your boy Gary, literally they said it like this, your boy Gary can play in our sandbox. And we were staggered, dude. Yeah. We were like, okay, so you just took the 11 people I hired. You also, and you paid us $350 million for 30 months of work. And you're telling me that the guy that just did all this, you're cool with him playing in the sandbox. So Steve and Chuck called me and said, you want to do this again? I was exhausted, dude. Yeah. Like I had already had two
What year is
threats.
this?
90. This is 1995.
Okay.
I'd already had two threats from the European political bodies to be removed from England.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, they were starting to get, well. They lost $4 billion 2 years after I got there because
Oh, and it's an American
they
came
didn't
in.
they
So
didn't listen to me. Well, I told them it was going to happen to them. I mean, they just didn't like that their partner is the one that created the problem, but it was going to happen anyway. Okay, I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. I literally told this large company what they should do. They said, "Nah, we're not going to do that." Okay, somebody else is going to do it. Anyway, Chuck and Steve said, "You want to do it again?" I had the stupidity say, "Yes, I'll do it." This was 95. And so we built what was called Dynegy Europe. And that thing would be like become 4 times bigger than the British gas play.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so that, I think being at the right time, right place, and being really dedicated to being really accurate and good at what you do. That's all
Yeah.
it takes, Jordan.
Well,
Quite frankly, it's all it takes is just, you know, study. I mean, really just be great at understand your information.
I mean, yeah, and we all have to realize here it's directional awareness. So Gary could have sat there and been like, yo, I've been at the company 7 years. These guys above me aren't doing anything. I hate this. But instead, he had this vision of, I want to go to Europe and run a group. As soon as that opens up, probably everyone else is like, oh, dude, do not send me to Europe. Like, I do not want to go there. And that awareness to go, no, this is the opportunity I've been looking for. I'm coming. Like, think about how many times in your life, whoever's listening right now, this has actually happened to you and you missed that opportunity because you weren't even looking. Like, the amount of times stuff is there and they're like, I'm not ready. I don't know. Like, it happens every single day to us where there's stuff there and we don't take the opportunity. Like, even this interview, I had somebody reach out. They're like, do you know this guy? Like, you should connect with him. I'm like, yes, let's do it. And people don't take that opportunity. And I want to say, like, yes, Gary did an incredible thing, but it's because he put himself there and he was open to these doors and these opportunities.
Yeah, and look, this is a really good example of why you can't really rely on the people in your universe
Circle.
when you're growing up. If I would have gone to my mom and said, "Hey, I'm going to go do this thing in London," like, what value of information does she have? Like how could she even help me in that decision? I mean, I had my own guys at clearinghouse looking at me going, "Dude, are you crazy? Like, we're never going to remember you. Once you walk out this door, you're fucking gone, dude." That was like, this was like being a part of a professional football team on NFL day and you don't show up for the Super Bowl. They're like, "Fuck off. See you later." So for me, it was extremely risky, but it was extremely risky for me to stay there. It
Yeah.
was extremely risky for me to know this company is getting ready to go from 600 to 6,000, and they're not going to hire me, dude, to run these 6,000. They're going to go hire somebody from corporate, because that's what happens when businesses become big. They become more mature, more boring, more rules. You know why? Because that's what big organizations need. I mean, they do need that, some more structure. And I just knew that I was kind of this guy that, like, I'd rather play for the B team and be on the damn game on the field every day. This is another mistake fucking people make, dude. I want to go to Harvard. I want to go to Harvard. Awesome, dude. You go to Harvard and you came out as middle of the tier. Why
Yeah.
would you go to Brown, bro, and you end up at the top? Nobody
Yeah.
cares whether it's Harvard, Brown, or Schmown. They don't care. But be
Yeah.
at the top, right? So I was never going to get a top position at ExxonMobil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're bringing up two major points here. One is that, and this is one thing I've learned from in my life, when you have a mentor, they don't have to be your mentor for everything. So they can
They
be your
shouldn't
mentor
be. They
for
should not be your mentor for everything, and they should not be your mentor for long.
outgrowing a mentor.
You're
That's
growing,
interesting.
dude.
Yeah.
If you're growing, your mentor should go, "Dude, get the fuck away from me. Go get Elon to help you." Now you've moved next level.
Because your mentors can only and I was explaining this to someone earlier today, but people can only see where they're at. They can't see above. So for you, they're like, "Oh, Gary, you're only the Texas oil guy or the Texas energy guy. You're not the global energy guy. You can't do that." And people that happens over and over and over again. And we listen to these people because they're the quote unquote authority, but like you're your own authority. You create your own life and you decide how you feel about life. And we can't just let people sit there and make us feel less than because this person actually has a real insecurity about themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone has insecurities about themselves. Everyone, even your mentors, right? Even your boss. I mean, there's a lot of human issues that go on in corporations and how to maneuver through a career. I mean, I think career counseling in schools is so horrifically bad. I don't even know why you would even pay anyone to be a career counselor, because they themselves don't have a proper career.
Once I realized this, I was like, what am I doing here? Like you
You're
start
listening to someone that's never had a career.
you're like, what are we learning? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And there's so many times where it's like, go to the teacher or go to your boss. I'm like, they don't know anything. How do I help them? I can't. I can't because I'm sitting there and it's not my fault, but it's just you're placed in this bubble and you feel less than, and it's just not true. It's just not true because all of these middle management people are just they're figureheads. Like they don't do no one does anything. And
Yep.
it's just that's why I think your perspective of going global and understanding that big picture on all the industries you look at is so impressive because you do that and then you bring it right down to the little guy. So it's the ability to go big and then bring it real small. Just as I've been researching you, because it's fascinating. There's very few people who can zoom out and see the big picture, and it's missed so many times.
Yeah. I have, I mean, yeah, but I like the big picture. I've followed politics, history all my life. This thing about knowing self too is really, really important. It's as important. My success in business, I would attribute mostly to me being aware of who I am.
Yeah.
Good and bad. Like, I have a monster amount of flaws. Um, I think I'm just human, right? But like my character is such that I knew early on, hey, look, I'm probably not going to ever work for Chevron.
Yeah.
And you know what that means? That means if you build a Chevron, you're probably not going to stay there forever. Because like I don't even like building the Chevron. See, once it
Yeah.
gets like this last business, 300 or 400 people at chargebacks, when they started introducing, like there's a guy there, chief of staff. I'm like, chief of staff, dude, you're grossly overpaid for being chief. Like all you do is run somebody's calendar.
Yeah.
And now they're the president. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, he wasn't a chief of staff. He wasn't a good chief of staff. Now he's president. What these companies do is they keep giving people labels instead of money to
I
make them feel good. Like Clearinghouse, this young company, they gave 16 vice president titles one November, December. I
yeah.
went into Bergstrom. If you've ever seen this interview I did with Steve Bergstrom, best interview I've ever done. He was my mentor. And they give 16 vice president titles out, Jordan. And I go to him, I go, hey, man, give you your title back. How about you give me another 50 grand? Because what they were doing, they were literally throwing titles out so they didn't have to make the bonuses.
You do you know John Saraceni?
No.
I don't know if you know him. Okay, he's this guy who's been running around Instagram, social media, and he's 2000% rate. I can introduce you if you want. But he basically runs around and he literally built his brand off of this idea of like, take your title and shove it. I don't want it. I want a 2000% raise. And that's what he did. He built the life insurance, sold it. He was on the podcast, and he's a really cool guy. And people just resonate with that because it's like, what are we doing? Like, I don't need this fluff. Like, I don't want to get promoted. I don't want
Yeah.
any of this. Like,
Yeah.
I want what I really want, like, which is money and ability to make decision and understanding and not having to be checked on all the time. Yeah. No, it's the real stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Gary, so for you, I saw that you have a lot of stuff going on with your LinkedIn. You have mission quotes that you live by. What are some of these? What do you think about when you think, like when you wrote I only engage with others of similar ethics, beliefs, and operating basis. Stay away from hyper ego centric control freaks who cannot stand for their others to shine. What ended up happening with that? Like, what caused you to come up with that as one of your missions?
Um, I've seen hundreds and hundreds, if not billions of dollars. I
Yeah,
mean, look, I've seen $200 million in this family alone
yeah,
uh, be eviscerated because of a need to be in control. I don't think you expand, you don't scale uh, trying to control every little item. You just don't. You don't. I don't think you scale trying to control every person's behavior in the group. I think my job is to show up. I remember my daughters one day made a comment to me. They said, "Hey, why do you show up on these conferences? There's 12 people in the room, and y'all are talking for an hour, and you only said like 10 words." And I think their perspective was, well, in order to be a leader, you got to be talking all the time. And
yeah.
actually, I think I need to listen, and I need to make room for you to shine. And I need to like put you in a position. See, my career really is a lesson to others because I don't have the resume to be here. Like if you look at this on a piece of paper, neither me nor my brother should be here
Yeah.
actually. And we took extremely different paths. I'm not here to talk about him, but it is kind of weird that two people came out from the
Well,
same house and dude, like we took massively different. They were literally juxtaposed to each other.
and the amount of people that were in your position who probably didn't accomplish anything, let alone you guys who accomplished so much. It
Dude,
it's fascinating.
all my buddies from Energy. I had a phone call just the other day. They said, "Dude, how much money do you have?" And I said, "What do you mean, dude?" He said, "How are you getting all these interviews?"
Yeah,
I said, "Well, dude, it has nothing to do with money.
yeah,
Zero." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, one, I actually can talk about a broad number of subjects, and the second thing is, I see the mainstream media being disintermediated by decentralized technology, and if you can't see that and take advantage of it, stick your beak into this change." Like they think it's like, what? How'd you get Vivek? Called him, emailed him.
I,
Hey, want to do an interview? Dude?
yeah. And people
It's not any
that
more difficult than that.
and people just because it's this fear of rejection, fear of failure, because they're just like, I'm the energy guy. I don't know anything else, and that's the identity that they hold. So it's these things
Well,
where,
but that's what they
yeah,
locked into, though. See, they made that decision, man.
of
And
course, it can all be changed at any moment.
yeah, like people made fun of me for getting bored. I hear people say, "Hey, look, that guy gets bored really quick." Smartest people I know have the attention of a fucking gnat, dude. Like seriously, the smartest people I know do not need 3 hour conversations on an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I think Elon probably thought about buying Twitter for about an hour.
I don't even know if he thought about it. He just posted, I'm buying it.
Well, no,
He's like, I'm coming. No,
I'm reading the book right now. It's fascinating story. Um, anyway, I just, you know, to me, the boredom thing it's a little bit of a message for me. It's not a bad thing anymore. It's
Yeah.
okay, I'm a little bored with this. And then I start getting into trouble. I start doing things that, are suboptimal because I'm wanting the excitement. Um, when
I
all I really need to do is switch gears and go study something that's fresh and new to me. Maybe
yeah,
tangential, okay, but it's fresh and new and it's deep enough to hold my attention span. So I think the boredom, if you're bored out there, don't shame yourself for it. Embrace the boredom. Ask yourself why. And if you're not being challenged enough, then I don't think anyone's challenged. Very few people are challenged to max. I'm
Yeah,
not. No.
yeah, and there's so like we just go through this experience so many times where we've been conditioned throughout our life where we have all these words, like the example learning. We relate that to school, but we really know that learning is having conversations with a wide variety of people, learning about different industries, different areas. It doesn't actually mean like I have to go take a test. And there's a lot of words that have been associated because they've been so conditioned to us, like being bored is bad. And it's like, dude, 95% of people are bored. Like there's a lot of different areas. So one of the quotes I really like that you put up was every plan fails at first contact with the enemy. And I think this is so good because there's so many times where we don't understand how much effort it really is going to take. You know what I mean? There's so many times where we just think, oh, I know this guy, and it's going to work out perfectly. And that could be your customer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, you know, that quote came from one of the leading German military minds in history. I can't remember the guy's name. I probably can't pronounce it. And his deal was, hey, you can plan all you want, dude, but when you smack, as soon as you know light up the artillery, everything changes.
Yeah,
And I think it was Tyson who said, you know,
everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah,
everybody, dude. And I think, you know, I wish someone would have taught that course to me in school. See,
yeah,
to me, that would have been a good business course, dude. Every plan fails with first contact with the enemy. Every plan. You know, the other one you'll really dig. I was listening to a general who spent a tremendous amount of time training the SEALs.
yeah,
And there's a particular training program with the Navy SEALs that it's like in the middle of it, and no one passes this test, but they make you get in your ribbons and your badges and your, you know, all your uniform, and you're going to go out that day and you're going to be in the sand, in the water, and you have to come out in perfect dress, everything
yeah.
smooth, no crinkles, no wrinkles, no anything. No one ever passes. And the guy looked at the general one day and said, hey, this is bullshit, dude. No one passes this damn test. You make me go in this wool thing, spend 24 hours. Everyone fails it. I got sand up my ass. I got it in my armpits. And the general just looked at him and said, well, perhaps you don't understand the purpose of this.
Yeah.
No one's ever passed this. And the message is you can show up in your uniform, have your gun loaded, everything perfect, and still get a bullet in your fucking head. And like business guys don't realize that. Hey,
Yeah,
dude, all plans can get fucked up, dude. Like markets
absolutely.
change. You like most people lose building businesses.
Yeah.
Most people, like 90% of them, lose building businesses. And the gift for me has been I have literally looked at every business I've ever built as a military exercise, man.
I can see
Almost
that.
like it's a war event. Like I'm gonna get shot, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a 50 cal. You know, Visa's gonna blow a 50 cal right by my head, and this half my face. I'm not gonna die, but half my face is gonna get ripped off, and they
Because
don't even know it, dude. Visa doesn't even know it. It's just
you
oof.
saw that at such a young age where the whole industry flipped like that and it was like what new rules, like what do you mean rules change? I don't know even know what that means. So as rules change, that means we have different ideas and different perspectives. So for you, there's rules around money, there's ways we think about money, there's other ideas, there's crypto, Bitcoin, like how are the rules changing around money because it's happening all so fast.
You want to get me excited now, huh?
I know. I saw you perk up. You're like it's game time.
Well, I'll tell you what right now, because I don't know how much time we have, but this Bitcoin crypto blockchain thing. Um, let me just back up 1 second, because once you realize that change can impact your business plans and that change always occurs, we just went through that, right?
Yes.
Randomity and somewhere about 25 or 26 years old, I figured out, hey, if there is change, what if you could help excite and make the change? Probably around when I went to London, I'm like, okay, last time I was an effect of the wave of change. How about this time I create the wave? And
Yeah.
that's why like I was so massively successful in London, but I had already been to the World Series, dude. Like I knew how it was going to roll out. Didn't know for sure. But my confidence level, I remember a guy in England, 20 years older than me. He's like, dude, I don't believe a word you're saying, but my God, you believe. Your belief in yourself is really compelling. He was staggered, man. He was like, I do not believe what you say you're going to do, you can do, but I really believe that you can do it. And he lost his job a year later, and I stayed there another 9 years and made a shitload of money. So if you go into it like a war event, you're always pretty nervous about what you're doing, or at least I was nervous about what I was doing, and always just being aware of everything around me. I think situational awareness is extremely important in business, and it's something that founders and CEOs don't do as much as I think they should do.
Yeah.
Uh, and situational awareness to me means, let's say you're really heavy in tech. Well, that doesn't give you an excuse not to understand about geopolitics or macro issues or what your competitor raised money at. Well, I'm a geek. Well, dude, then maybe you shouldn't be the CEO. Maybe you should be top geek and let somebody like me, who's used to carrying a weapon with them and having people rip their heads off, maybe that guy needs to be your leader, right? It's just a different. These are different skills, man. And I think most people don't. They have a good idea and they immediately think they need to be the CEO of the company. When I went to London, they put a boss over me. It was the right thing to do, dude. Okay.
And
I
people
didn't
don't.
like it, but it was
Yeah.
the right thing to do. It literally allowed me to go do my job, and Jake did all the politics. Jake went shooting and hunting with the guys, but dude, I had my head down, listening to the rail. Like when you're a little tiny guy like me, you need to get your head next to the train track and go, "Oh shit, man, she's coming, dog. She's coming. Let's get ready." Um, and every time I took my head off that train, the sound, that sense of a marketplace,
Yeah.
I'd lose money, man.
Yeah. No,
So,
I love the fact that you brought up, instead of being scared of change, like a majority of society, you're like, I'm coming in. I am the change. And I think that's so empowering because there's so many of us who just, dude, change is happening. I don't know what to do. And everybody I've ever heard is like, just go with the change. Like you'll figure it out. You're like, no, I am the change. I'm coming. Like I'm looking for change. I want to make change. And I think that's awesome because it
well,
really,
especially
yeah.
especially when I realized, ooh, I'm really comfortable. I'm
Yes.
really comfortable in this hurricane of change, right? I'm more nimble. In fact, oh gosh, I don't really want to work for these big companies. I actually want to beat them up because I don't fit there. And it's not about me not fitting there. I know why I don't fit there. You guys are too comfy. You're comfy and you're not even going to see me coming, man. And
Yeah.
this is very, very important for the conversation where we're headed, which is technology. Once you see this happen, and it's not with technology, it's just good old fashioned supply and demand. I look at the technology that's going on right now and go, how is the US government going to pivot from picks and shovels of pencils and spreadsheets that don't even zero out to blockchain where there's massive amounts of data, okay? Digits, trillions and trillions of digits of information that need to be stored, tracked, traced, monetized, accounted for, analyzed. Dude, Amoco's not ready for this. Okay, Exxon's not ready for this. Think about this. Name me a top 10 oil producer. Everyone just failed the answer. You guys all thought of Exxon, Mobil, Shell. They don't even make the top 10 list, dude. None of them make the top 10 list. Okay. It is Russia. Iraq, Iran, the United States. These are corporations, entire sovereign countries that are in control of energy supplies today. So we've had a massive dynamic shift that nobody even thinks about. Like, wow, never thought about that. You have NATO that's sitting on top of the Eurozone, and I think the Eurozone's getting ready to just fall apart. And then you got to go, well, if Eurozone falls apart, NATO's got to fall apart, right? Because that's the only thing holding. Anyway, you start seeing all these pieces and going, wow, there's nothing but change.
Yeah.
There is no stability, okay? The only stability is that most people, your parents, are going to probably be so broke that you're going to have to bury them. And that's that's what happens every year in America, man.
Yeah.
Because of inflation, because people didn't make the right investment decisions, because people are very uneducated, if not miseducated on money and power.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm really excited about, this world that we're moving into, because I do not believe any corporation. I don't believe any human being is well situated for the change that's getting ready to occur. I mean, we could spend an hour and a half. I could just walk you through the dynamics that this planet has never seen before.
Yeah.
It has never seen. Like, we have trillionaires sitting in the wings that nobody even talks about. We have multi-billionaires that are worth more than, countries, multiple countries. We have changes going on that are so radical. How anyone can keep up with this? I think this is the age for the most nimble, risk-taking, hey, I'm going to get in there and shake it up type thing, as long as you're willing to be flexible and be willing to pivot,
Yeah.
be nimble. Once in a 1,000-year event, man.
Oh, wow. That's profound.
1,000. Once in 1,000. Greatest transfer of wealth and power the world has ever seen. And it's all happening right this second. And that's why I remain fairly young in my thought process, because it is so bloody exciting, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I
No,
don't watch sports. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. Fucking Super Bowl is boring compared to what I do.
yeah.
Boring, dude. But really
Well, I
boring.
think
Okay.
I think that's a super important thing, because most people think to keep up, they have to know what's going on in sports, or they have to know these stats. And it's like, no, you need to build your own stats. You need to focus on your own game, and you got to build that up and make it exciting enough to where you're like, I don't want to do that. I don't like that activity. That's not fun for me anymore. And you're going to change and you're going to grow. But like, Gary, you got me pumped up. Where are we going? Where are we going with this rocket ship?
Well, we're going to digitize planet Earth, man. That is what's happening right now. That is the biggest piece of where we're headed. We're moving from an analog age, from the 8-track tape.
Yeah.
We will never go back to the 8-track tape, ever. I mean, think about it this way, right? I have 40,000 pieces of music and video on my phone. Apple created the iPod, and I haven't listened to Apple Music in 5 years. Now, how the hell do I have 40,000 pieces of music and video on my phone? The very maker who created the entire distributed music freaking hardware, and I'm using Spotify sitting on Apple's hardware. Like, it's mine, and I'm paying for 3 or 4 of these users to give me music. Okay, so penetration into this market, like, if you need more clarity of what's happening, you didn't even hear the word Spotify 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, Twitter just started charging, and people are like, "Oh wow, people are paying." People were surprised that people were going to pay for Twitter. Okay, we have an entire Bitcoin crypto industry that right now is sitting paralyzed. This will make a great little burner quote here. They are literally sitting paralyzed after 26 days of an ETF launch. Terrified, dude, of what's getting ready to happen in this market. Not one human being that has been studying crypto in the last 10 years expected what's happening in the last 3 weeks. Not one. Everyone is shocked. They're like, oh my God, dude. This is a flow of money, the likes we have never seen before. Everybody thought crypto was like, nobody knows anything about crypto. Well, $500 million flowed into an ETF yesterday, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one day. 500. Like they were expecting 500 to a billion over like the year. Okay. At this rate, we'll be at $100 billion of inflows into Bitcoin
Yeah.
by the end of the year, if this were to keep up. I mean, even 100 million a day, you got 180 days left. That's $180 billion, man.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, okay, last time they did an ETF like this, it was about $1 billion after a year. It was gold. So this is like stunning. Okay. What it's telling me is that the three industries I've been in, I can honestly say that I grossly underestimated what we could have done. And now I'm going back and interviewing people that I've known for 30 years going, hey, Steve, we built a $30 billion business. What are you doing now? Oh, I'm chairman of the board of Williams Energy. Well, are there still opportunities? Gary, we thought there was only 10 years of opportunities. 40 years later, okay? He's like, we've only touched the surface, dude.
Yeah.
He literally shared a story. He said, we just went and bought a company for $25 million and we made 250 million in 6 months.
Holy smokes.
He's like, can you believe this shit's still going on? Okay. So 25 million, dude, made $250 million. Okay.
Yeah.
There's the opportunities are staggering out there. And it just needs a lot of minds. And I think that once you start to unravel this, once you pull the string on this, you start to realize how messed up the analog age is.
Yeah.
This analog age has been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. We don't need Excel spreadsheets anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's not going to be sufficient to track what we have because we have an immense amount of energy at extremely cheap prices. Okay. Cheapest energy prices in the world. Going lower, by the way. I mean, natural gas is at $1.63 today. I started my career, it was at $1.63. You got oil at $72, and it ain't going to see 120 ever. Maybe for a war, but it's going to go to 40, if not 30. Why? Because technology, man.
Yeah. The efficiencies.
Technology, efficiencies, people are starting to look at things better. If you can measure something, you can improve it.
Yes.
Right. So, like, I think energy is mispriced, grossly well, I think everything is mispriced. Okay. I think this adage about Wall Street is efficient and it makes everything work. Well, Bitcoin just moved from 25,000 in 2.5 months to 52,000. Where was that pricing, dude? Because it's either priced wrong. Well, it's absolutely priced wrong today, but it was most certainly priced wrong 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just the world is both fragmentating and also being connected in a very, and I think that the chairs are being moved around the table also. We start doing things like, and this is where businesses, this is where I think, if somebody's not careful and all they do is read one source of media, they become propaganda puppets instead of looking at the real picture. When the Nord Stream pipelines were blown up the first day, I was like, okay, well, the CIA blew those up. And now 9 months later, people are like, well, of course the CIA blew them up, dude. They had to remove Germany from buying energy from Russia a day after they did the embargo. You can't have Russia being embargoed and then all of your NATO countries are still buying energy from them.
Yeah.
Right. Like and then you can't nuke Germany. So, let's just go blow the pipeline up and remove this as a problem. This is an issue, however, okay? Now Germany's buying energy from LNG and out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. And Putin's probably going to look at this and go, okay, I just had my pipes blown up. I guess I'm going to have to mine Bitcoin in Siberia. Well, guess what? His cost to mine Bitcoin in Siberia versus Germany is about 10 cents. Once he moves all that shit all the way to Germany, it's at $3, dude. So if you just blew his straws up, his pipelines up to get it to market, he's going to look at it and go, let's see, I need a data center sitting in a cold environment next to an oil well and a gas well, of which I'm extremely long. Okay. In order for me to get my gas to China or to Europe, I have to transport it for $2 or $3 or $4. Hell, he'll just mine Bitcoin it. And no one can control him. He's turned natural gas into a digital currency that he can hold on his balance sheet or a digital money. And he can move that currency around. If he wants to talk to China and say, hey, China, here's $1 trillion on a USB port, poof, done. We are headed there, dude. We are absolutely headed there. We are headed to a world where energy and money and finance are all very, very, very connected. And it's going to be a geocentric kind of landscape change about where the power lies. And we are like in the first half inning of a 10 or 15 inning game. And this is a career maker right here. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a business where you can literally no high school education required. You know why? We've never been here before. No one knows anything about where we're headed.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that I was so excited to having you on, because you're a combination of these different industries, which poises you for a great understanding of all of this. Because a lot of the crypto space is very not the best players, and you're very transparent. And you're the complete opposite of that with Node 40 and everything you're doing there. So I just think it's incredible.
Well, it's the conviction level. It's not really. See, I can't tell you exactly where it's going, but my conviction level of the volume of which it's going to come, and the amount of change that we will not anticipate. That's why I'm looking at this ETF thing, and the price is going, ooh, canary in a coal mine, dude. I've seen this story before. Okay, now. If me and Steve look back 30 years later and go, wow, the energy complex really could have done more. No one's expecting this, dude. See, commoditizing energy told me a lot, right? If I could turn, there's 111 billion cubic feet a day in the United States supply chain in natural gas. When I started my career, there was 11 billion cubic feet a day.
Wow.
Everyone said that if we turn the market into what we turned it into, which is a short-term market traded on paper, there'd be no investment. Really, there's 111 billion cubic feet a day. There's LNG terminals everywhere. There's refining stations. We are the largest fossil fuel energy producer on the planet, dude. Yeah. Self-sustaining, don't need anything from anyone. Do not import 1 unit of energy on a 30-day fucking market. And everyone said people were going to die. If you can do that with fossil fuel, which defines whether a country is first, second, or third world, dude, we're definitely doing this with money.
Yeah.
Currency and little accounting digits. Dude, they're just digits, okay? How much cash do you have in your pocket right now? Zero, probably.
I found $1 this morning, so I feel like
you're already a digital guy, dude.
I mean, everybody is, because cash isn't getting accepted anywhere. Like people are literally getting to the point where they don't even want the cash. Like,
that's right.
Because it causes people stealing, and it causes a lot of it's just like, do the transaction, do this, and it's easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's fascinating, man. It's a great time to be alive.
Absolutely. And you are incredible. And I want to do a second one because I know we can go another hour and a half easily. So Gary, what do you want to leave the people with, and where can they find you?
Well, the thing I would leave people with is this is the greatest. Look, I'm 65 years old. This is the greatest opportunity in the history of mankind. Like I have never seen anything like this. Um, I also think it's an opportunity for people to reposition themselves on the world stage. Um, People like you and me, like, or middle
Yeah.
class, lower middle class, that I can change the trajectory of my entire lineage, of my family's lineage, and at least put them in a position where they have a better chance than most. I would say to everyone is don't, if you're lazy and you're bored and you're not really excited about life, I would say prepare yourself to live in misery for most of the rest of your life. And the reason is the change that's getting ready to take place is so substantial. You're going to get left behind. This is not a 1990 internet thing. This is now getting ready to get very, very real, where large people in the 30 to 50-year bracket are going to wake up one morning and no longer have a career and will never, ever have a career anywhere because they didn't study what's happening.
Yeah.
That I'm certain of, right? That technology is going to displace a lot of people. Now, I'm very excited about that because I think that we spend too much time doing stupid shit. And that if I don't do stupid shit, that like owning cars and having debt and paying debt in colleges and cleaning the floor. I mean, I think some of the cleaning the floor is probably good for you. You know, it's good for, but I just think that we are getting ready to have technology not displace the McDonald's hamburger flipper. That's not the way economics work. Robotics will displace the most expensive things in the world: doctors, surgeries, medicine,
This is the
uh,
highest value. Yeah, you'd have to do so many
complex.
hamburg flippers to get one surgeon. It's like get rid of 10 surgeons and move on. Like,
Totally. You know, the co-pilot sitting in the airplane, um, like he's not needed. That's
yeah,
ridiculous. That's a waste of $200,000 a year. Um, so if you just see the change that's happening, all you have to do is get on Twitter, X,
yeah,
and realize, whoa, media is changing.
yeah,
So I would stick my head into the future and get out of the past. And the way you do that is you look around the environment you're in and say, hey, look, are the people I'm hanging around helping me move into the future, or are they holding me back into the past?
yeah,
If you're worried about how much money you're making today and you can't pay the bills, you have no choice now. You have to actually study the future because this is going to get more difficult for living comfortably in a market, in an environment that I think it gets more difficult um, to be prosperous and to live without fear.
yeah.
That's what I say, man. And read, dude. I think reading is really, really valuable. We have YouTube now. You can literally read and not have to read a book. You can learn. And there's some just beautiful, like I have met more wonderful people through crypto, Bitcoin, X, and disintermediation of media. This whole little group, they're really wonderful people. So as an older guy, you know, most older people, their communities get smaller and smaller. I'm having 400 people over my house in March for a birthday party. You're welcome to come. And they
Oh,
will literally be from all parts of the world. And they're all coming through media, energy, payments, crypto, dude, from all over the world. I mean, like,
that's
it's
incredible.
not just one little industry anymore. And so for me, that's like, wow, I get to make a lot of high quality friends.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude. And I get to do business with a bunch of high quality friends. This is cool and make a
yeah,
shitload of money, dude.
absolutely.
You know
Why
what?
not?
Huh, it would be a sin not to enjoy life. That's
Yeah. And I think the way you view it and the way you're looking at it and the way people see it you really do understand that. Like you are living an incredible life. You're living your best life and you're happy about it and you're excited. And I think it's inspiring and people need more of that around. So this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, look, if I can earn a living and have fun, I'm probably going to be better at it than most guys because they're
Absolutely.
not having fun, dude.
Most people, when they're forced to do it, they never produce. It never produces.
And that's the real message your peeps need to hear. Dude, do not get a career that you don't. It doesn't mean you have to be passionate and have an orgasm all day long about the business. Okay. Like there's times when I hate it. But if you're successful enough, you hire people around you, go, hey, you do the accounting, you do that, you do the HR, let me do what I'm doing. But to me, I've never called it working.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't think I've ever had a job. Not really.
Well, I think that again comes back to the words that we use and how we phrase ourselves. When people do that, I'm working and now I've had a long day and I can't be with my family. It's like, no, no, I had a great day and it flew by because I had all these incredible conversations and I can't wait to talk to people tomorrow or see who I'm talking with tomorrow. Like, that's what it needs to be like, not this constant, yeah. No, the
I,
words we use are huge.
I agree. I agree.
Gary, you're incredible. I really appreciate it. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about Node 40, all of that?
Oh, let's see. Node 40 is a tax accounting forensics firm that I invested in a couple of years ago. It's going to be like Chargebacks 911. I'm so convicted over it. I think we're raising $8 million right now. That'll be the last round we raise. I think that total raise will be less than 16, $17 million to build a $500 million to $2 billion business in 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Um, it's absolutely essential part of the whole crypto digital asset world to be. There's just not the tools to monitor and measure crypto
Absolutely.
from the old world. So at Gary Cardone at X or at Gary Cardone at YouTube, I do a lot of stuff there. I'm trying to expand trying to interview a lot of financial people and bring them together, kind of bridge old world and new world. So
Yeah.
that the messaging we're talking about right here, because most people aren't going to, hey, where do I go to meet these people? Well, follow me, and then you'll meet all these people that, like, I'm starting to call out who can communicate to the world in a really logical manner without, you do not need to understand the complexities of blockchain and ASIC computing and hash rate. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay. No one need, I drive 110 miles an hour down the damn highway in my Range Rover. I don't know everything about how it works. Okay. I get on my airplane, dude. I have no fucking clue how that airplane works. Okay. But I get on it anyway. Then I get into a Bitcoin. I have to understand the hash rate on the did block. I'm like, bro, you don't even understand how JP Morgan runs their bank. So why are you asking so many dumb questions instead of basic fundamental questions? I'm trying to bring people together that just simplifies it.
Well, that's so powerful. And that's why you guys definitely got to go follow Gary because he's doing it for free. One, like it's online. You can get the information if you want to continue learning. It's fascinating. And then two, it's like you don't need to know all the details. You need to understand the big picture because that's a different skill set in its own capacity where it's like understanding it and then giving out the information in a very simple way where it's like I didn't ask 27 questions. I asked one question and I presented one answer. Most of the time people can't do that. But
Yeah,
Gary,
I mean,
you are incredible.
one thing, just to give you an example, like last night I heard a guy pose a question to 600 people. Hey, what if the power goes out, man? What am I going to do with my Bitcoin? I mean, the power goes out. Oh my God, and I'm like, bro, that cost me 10,000 Bitcoin. Okay. I could have bought 10,000 Bitcoin at $3, and I didn't because I sat there going, well, if the power goes out, I won't ever be able to get my wallet. And I just needed somebody to look at me, bro, if the power goes out, the only cash you have is shit in your pocket because your credit cards aren't going to work either. The
Yeah.
ACH isn't going to work. The wire transfer is not going to work. Your phone's not going to work. I could have bought 10,000 Bitcoin at $3, dude. And I
Wow.
didn't because I was like, power shortage. I mean, it would be an issue, but
Yeah.
so would my credit card. We'd never think about that. See the dumb question. You don't sit there and go, shit, I'm not going to bring my credit card today in the car because the power might go out. Right? Dumb question. Anyway, that's what I'm trying to do is like bridge the gap, make the learning a little bit less heavy.
Yeah.
People can start making decisions right now about like this is a window of opportunity. There are going to be millions of people that look back on this and go, whoa, I did not know I could have done that. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to spread the word because
Well,
I'm not
that's
I'm not going to gain anything by it, dude. I'm still going to have my Bitcoin, but like my brother's going to get left behind because he's asking too many dumb questions.
absolutely no, but it's like, guys, you got to realize that Gary's still convinced on this, and he didn't get it at $3. He probably bought it at a much higher multiple than that, maybe 300, 500, 3,000, 30,000. It doesn't matter. It's just you can't have that backwards vision. You got to know that it's coming, and there's conviction there. And Gary, you're awesome. I really appreciate you.
Good to meet you, buddy.